Scott Morrison is also hitting instant turbulence with his idea to throw Australia's Middle East foreign policy up in the air. He's reviewing an international deal meant to contain Iran's nuclear programs. And he's open to the idea of moving Australia's embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. The changes could help his Liberal candidate in the Wentworth by-election, but they've drawn condemnation from Arab countries and Indonesia. National Affairs correspondent Greg Jennett is at Parliament House.
He schmoozed above his weight.
A spectator at the diplomatic table, Scott Morrison bore witness to the Israel-Australia relationship and observed boundaries never crossed.
We are not going to relocate our embassy. It will remain in Tel Aviv.
Now, as Prime Minister, he's putting Middle East foreign policy up for grabs.
On the question of the recognition of Jerusalem as the capital, I do find those arguments persuasive.
Shifting Australia's embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem would mirror Donald Trump's approach and upend decades-long orthodox diplomacy.
It's a conversation worth having. A discussion is not a decision.
The conversation starter was the Prime Minister's man in Wentworth.
The Prime Minister said we are going to consider whether we should move our embassy to Jerusalem, and we're going to consider it in light of how this would best support a two-state solution.
But as a former ambassador to Israel, Dave Sharma knows conversations over peace in the Middle East are more easily started than finished.
Well, any time you deviate from your previous policy, there are always opportunities and risks.
Last word. On cue, the Palestinian delegation convened the Arab Diplomatic Corps, lodged a protest.
This will have a very negative impact on the relationship between the international community of Australia.
And Muslim friends closer to home registered their unease.
Indonesia conveyed our strong concern on the announcement and questioned the merit of the announcement.
Others in the Indonesian government told the ABC an almost settled free trade deal with Australia could be reconsidered, a threat later denied by its trade minister. The early hostile responses could convince the Prime Minister to move slowly through this conversation over what would be a radical change that puts bipartisanship at risk. That's if his intent on making any changes. The suspicion is Scott Morrison's enthusiasm could well evaporate after this Saturday's by-election.
This is a bloke who's prepared to do and say anything to try and hold on to his parliamentary majority.
Because in diplomacy, friendships are like parliamentary seats, best maximised in number. Greg Jennett, ABC News, Canberra.